If you are wondering about all the enhancements and upgrades in the new release of the Vectric software to version 12, and you're considering getting it or you've gotten it already and you want to know all these enhancements, then this video is for you. I'm Garrett Fromme, CEO of IDC Woodcraft, the company you get your CNC router bits from. This video is a complete walkthrough of all the enhancements that Vectric has done with this upgrade. We are going to have a dialogue with Kyle Ely. Kyle is a Vectric expert and a beta tester for them, and he is going to help us understand everything that Vectric has done. So with this video, you're going to learn everything about the Vectric software. Now in the description of this video, there's a lot of information as well, so make sure you check that out as well. And I've put all the links that we've talked about throughout this conversation down in the description as well. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's get into this conversation with Kyle and let's learn about the Vectric 12 upgrade. Let's go. Hello, all our CNC brothers and sisters. Welcome to a special Tuesday evening show where we're going to talk about the Vectric new release version 12. And we have Kyle Ely, who is going to give you a rundown on all the updates that have been introduced into the Vectric software. Kyle is a beta tester for Vectric, and he has been working with Vectric for a very long time and has a course out there for Vectric. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But next to me is our sister, Kate. Hi, Kate. Say hello to everybody.
Hey, y'all. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the special Tuesday night. I'm so excited to have everybody on board, especially Kyle in the background. Mr. Kyle is going to be on the hot seat tonight, and he is going to be fielding all these fabulous questions that you guys are bringing into us.
All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to just bring Kyle on board. And Kyle, welcome to this special Tuesday evening. Thank you for making some time to give people the lowdown. Give it so everybody can be in one central space to talk about version 12 and all the changes that they've done in this new version.
Yeah, thank you for having me back. Love to be here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. So, Kyle, we're just going to start this right off. You know, we have version 12 that's been released, and it's been released in Cut 2D, VCarve, and Aspire, and there have been a number of changes and updates, features that have been added, things that have been moved. And so let's just dive in with this. The questions are already popping in, so Julianne and Liberty are making sure that they're getting started. We will get to them. So, Kyle, we're just going to hand you the floor. You can share your screen as you want, and you can start running through Vectric 12 so people can get on board and up to date with what's going on. You can make a decision if you want to upgrade your software to V12, and then we'll talk about some other things as we move on.
All right, perfect. I'll start by sharing my screen, I guess. And
Yep.
All right, can you see this?
Yep, we got you.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So we have a Vectric version 12. I have Aspire, but other versions of the software will be similar. And by the way, if you are ever not sure about what is new and you ever want to know right away, just go to Help and click What's New, and that will open up Vectric's webpage with everything they've added that's new. And this version 12 is one of the bigger updates they've made in a while, with a lot new improved user interface and a lot of new themes and new controls, new buttons, new toolpaths, keep out zones, all kinds of cool things they've added, and a lot of 3D design tools for those that are using Aspire. So everything that has been added is here if you want to look into that. But if we create a new file, you'll see a little bit of what the new things look like. Let's just do a single-sided job. We'll just do a simple 12 by 12 by 3/4 inch. This all is pretty similar, just a little bit updated in the way it looks.
So this is similar to all the variations, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Cut 2D, VCarve, and Aspire. Okay.
Correct. Yep. But once we get in here, you'll see this is going to start looking a little bit different. So first off, all their icons have been updated a little bit more up to date. They don't look like they're from the 90s anymore. So you can see that right away. If we look over at the toolpath tab, that has also been updated with all their icons. A little bit fresh new look to them. But one of the biggest updates they made that is one of the best things I think they've done in a while is new updates to the 2D and 3D view. So you can see if you create a shape in the 2D view in a vector format, it also shows up in the 3D view now. In the old versions, you would never see that. The other nice thing is you can click on a shape in the 3D view and change the size. You can rotate it. You could scale it directly by typing in a value. Let's say we wanted it 6 inches, click apply. Now it's an oval. So you can do all kinds of things directly from the 3D view, whereas in older versions, you'd have to go to the scale tool, you'd have to go to the move tool, the rotate tool, and now it's all directly in the 3D view. So really, you don't have to work in the 2D view as much. You can work a lot of your operations directly in the 3D view. So that is really handy to use. You can also turn that off at any point by clicking the button at the top there that turns off the 2D vector view. There's also the 3D objects. So if you enter a 3D object by either a clip art or creating something new, you can drag and drop that in there. There's a button right at the top to turn those off as well. So you don't have to go into your levels and turn off all those different components. Now it's just one click and things disappear right away. It's really easy to use. And you can see in the 2D view as well, you can see that and turn off the 3D objects and the bitmaps inside of the 2D view. So that stuff there is really great to have. Another thing that is really great is the ability to be able to scale objects really good. So for instance, we have total shape height, which scales the entire shape directly into the 3D view. You can drag that, dynamically scale it. You could type in exact value if you need an exact number for the thickness. You could add in base height directly from this as well, from this third button. You can adjust the shape height with this second button. And then, like I said, the overall shape as well. So you can adjust all three different shape, base, and total height of a 3D model directly in the 3D view without ever having to open up the component properties. And then there's one more button there that will open up the additional features where you can change combine modes, tilts, fades, and color appearances. So a lot of things you can do. And you can also click and scale things right from here as well. Just like we could with the 2D objects, you can type an exact number here. Let's say we wanted to make it 10 inches in the width. You'll see it'll stretch it. If you don't want to stretch it like that and you want to update the height and the width, click on one of these corners. And now if I type in 10 and click enter, now it'll scale the height and the width at the same time. So as you can see, that's going to be a much easier way to adjust things. You can go up here and type in 90 degrees if you want to turn it 90 degrees directly inside of the 3D view. So no more do you have to open up all those different tools to scale and to adjust component properties and everything. It's all much more convenient in the 3D view. Another thing we have up here in the top right corner is this little cube that you can click on and drag around, and you can see you can go and around the entire 3D view much easier than you used to be able to. So overall, this is going to be much easier for everyone to use. There's other features like looking at your material size, your origin, your toolpath visibility, and the modeling plane visibility. So you can turn all that on and off directly inside of this 3D view. Really convenient. And then also all these zoom tools. If you want to zoom into your selected object, zoom into the entire view, or draw a selection box around an area you want to zoom to, you can do that all within the zoom controls. Same thing in the 2D view. They have the same features there. So that is a lot of the new tools. The 2D stuff is pretty much the same, just updated interface. There are some new changes to the 3D modeling tools. Not so much new tools, but they have changed them around to make them a little bit easier to use. So now all of the create shape form tools have been split up into their own tools, so you can all use them independently. So for example, if we select this oval and select create a round shape, and let's look at it in the 3D view. And if you were to enter an angle, let's say 45 degrees, and then you could set a limit to your height if you wanted to. You can go 100%, you can go 50%, and that will add a flat top to it if you add a limit, or you could switch it to an inches or millimeters if you want to set it to an exact thickness. Like say, for instance, 1/2 inch. You type that in there, and it'll make the top exactly 1/2 inch. So overall, they kind of simplified how to create these shapes to make it much more user-friendly. Instead of that big giant form that was here before, and there's a lot of different buttons to choose from, a lot of people, especially when you're new to the software, it gets really confusing when you have all those options. Now they kind of simplified it, made it much easier. And then you also have all these other controls in here to adjust shape height, base height, and the total overall height of the model. And then you also can change the angle directly in here just by dragging up and down. And then also the limit to height you could change as well. So all that is dynamically scalable inside of the 3D view, where you really don't even have to use the form as much. You can do it all within the 3D view. You can even type the exact values in here as well. So overall, very simple to use now. And it's going to make a lot quicker process now when you are creating 3D models. Whereas a lot of times before you were typing in a lot of numbers, this time you can just click on these and drag them and kind of do it by feel and by looks inside of the 3D view. And then the other features that have been added are 2 brand new toolpaths. These ones are really exciting. The sketch carving toolpath and the VCarve Inlay toolpath. Those 2 are brand new toolpaths that have never been in any other of the versions before. These are only going to be in VCarve and Aspire software. They will not be in Cut 2D. So if you have VCarve Desktop, VCarve Pro, or Aspire, you're going to have these brand new toolpaths. And then we also have the keep out zones. These keep out zones are going to be a new thing as well. And these are only available in the Pro versions or Aspire. So Cut 2D Pro, VCarve Pro, or Aspire users will have the keep out zones. And if you're not familiar with what the keep out zones are, basically that would be if you had a clamp or something you were trying to avoid, you can draw a box around it or any kind of shape. Let's say I didn't want to machine in this area, but I'm starting from this lower left corner. When I go to machine something, I would want to go around that area. So what I can do is, let's say I selected that circle and created a profile toolpath around that circle. So let me just scale this model thickness so I could fit in here so I don't get this error. So let me just apply that. So now if I create a toolpath right here on this circle and click calculate, by default, it's going to travel from this lower left corner where my 0 is, and it's going to go right over here and cut the circle out. But let's say I had a clamp or something in the way that if I were to do this, it would crash into that and possibly break my bit. I wouldn't want to do that, so they have these new keep out zones. If I click on that and select this rectangle that I drew, and I click create from selection, now you can see what it does is it bends the toolpath to go around that. So now when the tool moves, it's going to move out here around that rectangle and then come up here and cut the circle or the oval. And you can even add a clearance if you want a little extra room. Let's say we wanted to stay 1 inch from that box. Now it's going to stay 1 inch from there. But you can see it will give us a warning that it will interfere right here in that 1 inch zone. So you can reduce that if you needed to, say 1/4 inch away. So that is a great feature if you were trying to avoid things, crashing into things with your CNC. It'll save you lots of bits if you have that problem. So that is the new feature, like I said, in Pro versions and Aspire. And then the other 2 features, VCarve Inlays, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. In the older versions, it was a lot more complex to make one. Now you can open that up, set your depth, your glue gap, and your surface gap, select your tools, and it will automatically generate a VCarve Inlay toolpath for you for the male and female parts, and it will automatically mirror the vectors for you and everything. Real simple solution for creating VCarve Inlays now. And then the other toolpath is the sketch carving. I have an example of one I made recently. You can see this started out as this image. I just found an example image online, and I just drew a vector around it. And as you could see, this took probably a few minutes to create. and you got yourself a nice carving from a picture that a customer could have sent you, and you could carve this out in a few minutes and make a real quick whatever you wanted to charge for this. I'm sure you can make some good money on something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Real easy to make too. So we can dive deeper into all this if you guys want, but that's basically all the new features. We should probably get to some questions. I'm sure we got a lot of them so far.
Yeah. First of all, they've changed the location of some things, like the Sheets tab. They've added 2 tabs up at the top, and then they've removed some things aside.
Yes.
So,
yeah, they added sheets, layers, and levels all to the top. So now those are all a little bit more convenient to work with. I know a lot of people get confused on the differences between all these, but levels you only need to worry about if you're working with 3D models. That's to organize all your 3D models, and it will matter the order you place these in. Layers does not matter the order you place them in, but layers are just to keep your 2D vectors organized. You can also place bitmaps and 3D objects on the layers, but these are mainly to keep your 2D vectors organized when you have complex projects. And then sheets is going to be if you want to have multiple materials. So if you're working with one project, let's say you have 5 sheets of material that you want to cut, you can add all 5 sheets in here, and you can make them all different sizes if you needed to.
okay. And then they've removed the draw curves drawing tool.
Yes,
So
I noticed.
how do we?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that. I'm one of those people that didn't like that they removed that tool. I think their thinking behind that was you can just use the freehand drawing tool in its place, but the draw curve tool had its own purpose, and I think personally, I think they should put it back in.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, we have to work with the freehand draw tool, and basically that's drag to make your own lines. So you could still make curves with it, but I think the draw curve had a nice feature where you can just click a few points and it'll automatically create that curve for you, where you don't have to be such a steady hand for that. So I do hope they add that back in at some point. Maybe if enough of us complain about it, maybe they'll add that back in. But for now, we have to work with that freehand draw tool to draw those curves. You could also use the draw line tool and click and hold in your mouse, and that will draw a curve, but that has some limitations as well. Not as easy as the old draw curve tool was.
Okay. All right. So I've had some questions, Kyle, about your course. So some people have. So for those of you who don't know, we'll come back. We'll come to your questions here about this first. But if most of you probably realize, Kyle has a full-blown Vectric course, and as Kate and I say every time in the Wednesday regular live shows, if you haven't been to them, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Kate and I come on live for a couple hours and we talk CNC. We call it the Wednesday CNC Hangout. But one of the things we preach almost every time is you've invested in your CNC and all the equipment, invest in your knowledge, and we defer a lot of people over to Kyle's course. So he has a full-blown Vectric training course. We'll cover more about that later. But the questions that I'm getting is your course updated, or are you going to update it for version 12?
Yep, definitely working on the updates. I have a lot of new videos already created, and I'm actually restructuring the whole course and making it much easier to follow. And those updates will be out soon. So no matter if you already own the course, if you plan on signing up in the future, you will still get all those updates. So you could sign up now and you'll still get all the version 12 updates. They should be released within the next few weeks. I'll have some videos rolling out of all these new updates. So working as hard as I can on those. There's a lot of new updates though. So even all the old content though, a lot of it still applies to what the current platform looks like. Just the user interface just looks a little different. But like I said, most of those buttons are all still the same. It's just a couple of those new ones and the new features.
Okay, so they, from what I understand, they upgraded this interface for a number of reasons, but one of them was for high resolution monitors as well.
Yeah, it does work better for some people that have tough time with their graphic display or something. They changed the way the graphics looks. I know some people had problems with people that use it on Apple computers. I think there is a setting you have to change inside of the option menu. There are some settings you can change if you're having problems with that. But yeah, they did update the graphic display as well.
Okay. All right. So let's pop into some questions. But Julianne, for those who wanted to know about Kyle's course, throw a link to his course into the comment section, and so you can go to his website and take a look. So let's start dealing with some questions.
All right, here we go. So Kyle, I'll just let you read these out loud since you're going to be the one taking the majority of these.
Okay, yeah, I think we just answered this one about the updates. So yes, there will be updates, and it will be for the current users. So like I said, if you have it already, you'll still get the updates.
All right, and I think this one's pretty similar.
Yep, same thing. We just answered that too. Yeah, you can get it now, and like I said, most of the lessons all apply still. But even when the updates are out, you'll have access to those as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Question. I have a question. So, is the version 11.5, when someone purchased 11.5, what is the window in which they can upgrade to 12 for free?
Yeah, it used to be 12 months was when you buy one of the softwares, you get 12 months and of free upgrades. I think they might be restructuring that a little bit. I know the pricing is increasing at the end of the month, April 30th. I know they plan on increasing the cost. Vectric plans on increasing the cost to upgrade. So if you do plan on upgrading, you may want to do it in the next few weeks because they are increasing the price. I know a Spire upgrade right now, if you don't have a free upgrade, it's $400 right now to upgrade to the new version. And then at the end of the month, they're gonna up the price to $450, I believe. So,
okay. So if I purchased 11.5 a couple months ago, would I be qualified to get the upgrade?
Yep. Yeah, you should have free access to that. Check your portal account. Go to portal.vectric.com, and that will tell you right there if you have it for free or not. And if you're unsure, just email Vectric, support@vectric.com.
Okay. So Gary's next question is very similar to what we just discussed on touching on the portal. That's where you're going to find all of the information.
Yeah, definitely go to portal.vectric.com, log into your account, and right there at the top, it'll tell you if you have a free upgrade or not.
All right.
Also, a lot of people having questions if they upgraded 12 and maybe they're not used to it yet or they don't like it. You still can use your older versions. When you download version 12, it's not going to override the older version. It's going to be as its own separate software. So if you don't like the new version, you could still use your old version until you get more used to version 12.
Okay, very good. All right, our next one.
Do you think a new user only a few months would benefit going through the user group meeting in October? Yeah, I would. I went to the last user group meeting. He's talking about the Vectric user group meeting, and they have a lot of beginner stuff there. They have a mixed beginner and advanced stuff, but definitely a new user would benefit from going to the user group meeting. And I will be there October as a guest speaker, so I always like to cater my content for beginners, and I also try to get a little bit more advanced stuff for the advanced user as well.
I'll be there as well.
Very exciting. All right, so our next question comes in from Terry Glover.
Anyone know when the version 12 Makerspace Client Edition will be available? I am not sure about that. You would have to contact Vectric. I don't really do anything with their Makerspace platform, so you'll have to contact Vectric about
what would the Makerspace Client Edition be? What is that?
That's for, I believe that is for like a place that has like a makerspace where they can buy kind of a bulk of it, so they can have multiple users on one account.
I gotcha.
At like a makerspace facility type thing.
Okay.
I think that's something new they recently came out with.
Very
I'm
cool.
not 100% sure about that.
That's pretty cool. I won't lie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you
So
review things that we should know about switching from vcarve 11.5 to 12 as in machine setup? Yeah, when you switch to version 12, as long as you're using the same computer and you have the same setup, there's one button you press and it migrates all your settings over. So all of your toolpath data, your database, and your machine setup, everything is going to migrate right over. You can also back up all your old stuff onto your Vectric portal account, and you can load it into version 12 at any point.
Okay, there's a second question follow-up. I'm going to go ahead and bring that out. Oh, my apologies.
He says he's referring to the types of files they produce and the automated process of writing toolpaths. I seem to have done something wrong. It doesn't act as it did in vcarve. Yeah, that shouldn't have changed. But if you're talking about maybe templates you used before or something like that, if you're automating toolpaths, you have to make sure the layers are associating with the toolpaths. So you may just have to recalculate those toolpaths, open up the toolpath, make sure it's set to automatic selection mode, and that should take care of it. I could do a demo of that if anybody needs to see that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I can share my screen and
go ahead.
Show.
I have a question as you're getting ready to do that. Let's say so someone upgrades to 12 and they do the migration as they're doing the upgrade. So it migrates all their old stuff to V12. Mm-hmm. Will version 11 be able to open those up still?
Yes. Oh, wait. You can open older files in the new version, but you can't open new files in the older version. So
if I did the migration when I upgraded to 12, so 11.5 will not be able to see the ones that have been migrated to 12 then, right? Or
yeah, if you make any files in version 12, you won't be able to open them in the older versions.
Okay.
So you can open upwards, you can't open downwards. All right. So you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call this drill holes. And I'm going to make it a different color so we can see it's on a different layer. I'm going to make, let's say, a 1/4 inch hole. And I'm going to place a couple of these all over here randomly. And let's say I wanted to automatically select all those holes. If I had a bunch of vectors, because they're on its own layer, I can automate the selection of those. So a lot of people don't know about this, but you can go to the drilling toolpath or any of these toolpaths, click on it, set your cut depth. Let's go 3/4 of an inch. And we'll just stick with this 1/4 inch drill bit here. And down at the bottom, this is where it's going to matter where you select. So usually you have to click on these and select all of them holding shift, make sure you got all of them. And if you had a lot of vectors, it could be really challenging to find all of those vectors that you want to use to cut. Mm-hmm. So instead, what you can do right now, that's the manual method. You see it says manual down here. If we click select, and this is going to be basically a filter of all the stuff we want to cut. So I want to cut closed vectors. I can do only circles if I want, or I can just say all closed vectors. I'm going to associate with the toolpath. That's going to set it to automatically select all of those. And now I want to do selected layers only. I'm going to select the drill hole layer. And now you can see it automatically selects all those. I'm going to click close. And now you can see the automatic selection has been set. So now when I click calculate, it's going to drill. Oh, actually, I put it in the keep out zone, but I'm going to click OK and just ignore that keep out zone. So let me get rid of that keep out zone. I'm going to clear the zone, click close. And now you can see it automatically selected all those holes, and now I can drill them. Now, the nice thing about this is if I ever wanted to add more holes in the future, as long as I'm on the same layer, I can add a few more holes. Let's just add them out here somewhere. And instead of having to manually select all those and going back into the toolpath, now that they're on the same layer and the toolpath is set to automatic selection, I can just right click on the toolpath, click recalculate, click OK. And now you can see it's now drilling those other holes without doing anything extra. So there's the other holes. So that is the automatic selection mode.
Is this a new feature?
Nope, this has been a feature in the past lessons as well.
Okay, I didn't know.
That's been a feature for a while. But it's very handy when you make templates. You can make toolpath templates. I can now save this as a template and export it. If you're in a Pro version or Aspire, you can select that and click to save as a template.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can now import it into another job. If I have that same layer set up, it would automatically create the toolpaths on that layer.
Okay.
So nice way to automate your toolpath process.
Yeah. It blows me away how much you know about the Vectric software.
I know it better than I know myself.
Yeah, this is why Kate and I say take the course, right? Take the course because
every time
I've been working with this stuff for 3-4 years now, and this is first time I ever learned about this.
Yeah, and by the way, I do weekly Q&As in my course as well. So in the live part of my course, do a lot of Q&As, answering questions like this all the time.
Yeah, just shows how far I've been through, how far I've been into your course. So I didn't obviously get to that level.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think we briefly touched on this, but I want to bring it up just in case somebody had missed the conversation a little bit.
Yes, so he says he has VCarve Desktop, not Pro. How does the new Inlay toolpath compare to the old one? Well, the old one that he's referring to is just a 2D inlay toolpath. The new toolpath is a VCarve inlay toolpath. So it's a completely different method of inlays.
Yeah, define that so people understand the difference between VCarve and 2D.
So basically a 2D inlay would be if you're making a sign on the side of a building and you just wanted to paint the background one color and then make a pocket in that background, and then maybe paint the letters a different color and then just glue them inside of that. That would be more of a 2D inlay. A VCarve inlay is more for like a cutting board where you want a really tight fit. You don't want any gaps around the edges, and you're probably using a solid wood or something. You can use any material you want, but it's really good for cutting board inlays or anything like that, where using a V-bit to make the side angle of the inlay. And as you press it in, it kind of tightens up, it wedges in there and has a really tight fit. So the VCarve Desktop Pro and Aspire all have that brand new VCarve inlay toolpath.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you for that clarification. All right, so Dan has another question for you here.
How do you like the exclusion zones? So yeah, like I said, that is going to be if you want to use those keep out zones. I personally don't use them too much because I use different I don't use clamps too much for hold downs, so I don't usually have that issue of running into things. But in those rare occasions that something like that comes up where I need to make sure the toolpath doesn't go into a certain area, that it's a really good thing to have. It's one of those things that's nice to have if you have it, but if you don't need it, at least it's there for those projects you do.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who, it's not just for clamps, it's also for screws. If you're screwing your project down, you want to make sure that router bit's not going to hit that screw.
Yep, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to stop for just a moment and just so Kyle, you've got a YouTube channel,
yes,
right? What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Learn Your CNC.
Learn Your CNC. Okay, that's what I thought. So I just want to reach out to everybody, and Julianne's going to put a link to his channel. Go over there and subscribe to his channel because he shoots short videos to give you the various tips on Vectric. He's got lots of little short tips, Vectric tips, and also Kate, who here is Women Who CNC. She has a YouTube channel for women who like to CNC. She helps those, has a group, Facebook group for Women Who CNC. Just go find them and sign up if you're into the Women Who CNC. There's no metal out in that group. And also, of course, IDC Woodcraft. Sign up here because I teach the router stuff too, and the Vectric stuff, and about router bits. IDC Woodcraft, if you didn't know, is a CNC router bit company. So I provide router bits and a full-blown starter set. When I started in the whole journey, I couldn't find a good starter set, and I couldn't find anybody to tell me what was out there, what I needed. So that's how IDC got born, and now We have a full-blown starter set. It's really everything you need to get started. Almost everything that you can design, you can cut with that one kit. Maybe project, what have you. Everything I'm talking about is linked in the description of this video. Julianne will periodically throw links into the thing and tell you what that link is for into the comment section. Kyle also has a Facebook group. Talk about your Facebook group.
Yeah, it's called Vectric Tips and Tricks, and that's exactly what it's for. It's a large community of us. There's almost 60,000 of us in there so far. And basically, we talk about Vectric. That's all we talk about. So if you want to have questions about Vectric, if you want to learn some tips and tricks about Vectric, it's all in there. You can share your projects, what you're working on. It's a very great community for anybody that wants to. It's on Facebook and wants to join a group, and it's completely free. If you want to join, go check it out.
Okay. Yep. And you also have a private group as well.
Yeah, so my private group is on my website, my academy, Learn Your CNC Academy. And that is my community for my courses. So we have a mobile app and everything. It's all its own. It's off Facebook. It's not on any social media platform. And that is for just talking about Vectric, for our weekly Q&A calls. We have monthly project challenges where we have a challenge that maybe each month is something different. We have some prizes with that. And then we just talk about Vectric, share projects, share tips, and it's a much more private community. And you have direct access to me in that community as well.
Hey, I hope that you are enjoying this information about the Vectric 12 upgrades. If you are, please make sure to take a moment and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot more Vectric 12 information coming on this channel, the IDC Woodcraft channel, and I've got a lot more videos coming out that'll help you become a better creator, how to work with your CNC router, how to work with the design software, router bits, all that good stuff. So make sure you subscribe. All right, let's keep going with this conversation. All right. Let's hammer a few more questions here.
All right, let's do it. All right, so here's our next one from Dennis.
How to adjust calculated time in version 12 to match real time on CNC. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a trial and error thing you have to do. But basically, what you want to do is you want to, I probably should share my screen to show that so you guys know what I'm talking about. But I will share my Aspire again. Okay, so once you create a toolpath, you're going to see the summary of all toolpaths button, and it's going to tell you how long this toolpath will take. This one's just a simple drilling operation, so it says 1 minute and 30 seconds. So if you were to cut this, and let's say it actually took 5 minutes to cut, that means this is wrong. You'll have to do some changing here. First off, you want to switch your rapid rate to match your machine. The rapid rate is these red lines here, which is basically the movement your machine is moving in between toolpaths. So usually that's much quicker movement. You can find that directly from your machine manufacturer, or maybe even your controller or something will tell you. But that's a set number. You would enter that whatever your machine is. Some machines are 1,000 inches per minute. Some machines are 300 inches per minute. So you can set that right here as your rapid rate. The thing that's going to be different for everybody's machine is the scale factor. This is going to be the trial and error piece you'll have to change. So you'll see right now by default it's set to 1. If I set it to 1.5, the time is going to start changing here. So let's say it was set to 5. Now it's saying 5 minutes and 8 seconds. So that seems like it would be closer. We could set it to 4.9. It's now 5 minutes, 2 seconds. So if this toolpath actually took 5 minutes to cut, and I typed in a scale factor 4.9 and it says 5 now, that is now going to be closer to my exact scale factor that I'll need. So basically you have to cut it on your machine, see how long it actually took, and adjust the scale factor until that number matches the exact time. And that should be closer to your scale factor number. It will be different depending on what kind of toolpaths you're running. If you're running 3D toolpaths versus 2D toolpaths, you may have different number for your scale factor, because the 3D toolpaths do a lot of up and down movements as well, which sometimes makes the time run a little bit different. But that's basically how you would adjust that.
All right, so here's one from Deb Silverman.
Okay, says we now have version 11, version 12, vcarve and Aspire shortcuts on our desktop. We only use one. Aspire 12, will we ever use the others? Okay, he's talking about, or she's talking about having two different softwares on your computer. If you have no reason to use the older version, you can uninstall it if you want. But like I said, if you're not comfortable with the new software yet, if you want to take some time and get used to the new software, you may want to keep the older versions for now. But if you have Aspire and vcarve, you do not need vcarve at all because Aspire will do everything vcarve does. You can uninstall it if you want. But if you have an old version and a new version, you may want to keep that old version just for a little bit until you get used to the new version. And also in case there's some bugs in the new version that haven't been worked out yet, it's always a safe bet to have that older version as a backup. But in reality, you don't really need the older versions once you're comfortable with the new one.
Yeah. My habit is I'll just keep it on for about a year, and if I haven't used it in a year, I just dump it.
Yep, that's a good way to go. Unless you really need the space on your computer, you can keep it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there was almost the exact same question from Ron, so I wanted to let Ron know we've already asked and answered that question about going back to version 11. So hopefully that answered your question as well. So our next one comes from Scott.
Is there a way to edit how my roller mouse works? It appears that it reacts differently in sculpting screens.
That's a point too, just to mention, Kyle, about the switching of the left mouse button to the right mouse button for the.
Yeah, in the 3D view, they did change a little bit on how the controls are, especially with the left mouse button and right mouse button. It did take me a little bit to get used to that. You can set it back to the old controls in the edit options, but you will lose some of the new features if you do that. So if you really don't like the new way, you could switch it back. And in the edit, you go to options. There'll be a modern option, and there'll be a legacy option. If you set it back to legacy, that will switch it back to the old way. And then as far as the sculpting, I am not 100% sure about that. I haven't seen anything about that. It could be in the edit options. You may have to search around in those edit options to see if they have a setting for that. They might have a setting you can adjust for that. As far as I know, I don't know if there's a change for that.
Okay. All right. Oh, you get to take a breath for a second.
Yeah. Well, take a breath for a minute. So Kate and I do a live show every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IDC Woodcraft channel and on the Women Who CNC channel. And we bring special guests on all the time. We've had Kyle on twice, people who are experts in all this stuff. We've Ray Kinman, who is a master woodcarver. We had, what's his name from Pawn CNC?
Oh, yes. We're having Lanny Shaughnessy.
Lanny Shaughnessy's coming tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, Lanny's kind of a big. Lanny is kind of a big name. He's been associated with Woodcraft, with Rockler. There's a couple other big names he's been associated with, and so
the digital woodcarver.
Digital woodcarver. Yep. He does a lot of advanced stuff. So he's going to be with us tomorrow night. So very excited about that. And the following week we have Long Mill. They're going to come on board. We'll get some of the other CNC companies coming. So we're constantly working on it. So make sure, just letting you know, show up on Wednesday nights. We're going to be here. We're always here. And once in a blue moon, we'll take a break and it'll just be us.
Yeah, once in a blue moon. I feel like that's more the trend right now.
Right.
But I love it. So much information from so many good new people coming on, bringing all that wealth of information just from everywhere and all the different avenues of CNC, which is what makes this incredible creator space so unique. Because I mean, it's everything starts like with Kyle, everything starts with the programming and the knowledge and the education. So starting there, if you guys didn't know about Kyle, now we have this amazing community. You now know about Kyle. So go and take the course. Just do yourself a favor. Quit beating your head against the wall. Just go do it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we just wanted to give Kyle a quick break to catch his breath.
Yeah.
There are so many questions coming in.
You know what? We've got Liberty in the background, and she's taking this course right now. So,
Oh, nice.
Liberty, you want to come on board? She threw her hands up. Okay, here she is. So Liberty does all the shipping for IDC Woodcraft, and she writes the notes on your packages. She puts the M&Ms in and makes sure everything's straight and what have you. So, but she is also learning Vectric because she wants to teach. And but you've been taking Kyle's course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been taking Kyle's course. I'm still in like level 1 because I feel like I'm going at a snail's pace. I'm taking so many notes, and like some of it is just like I know that, but then like there's more to that. So I'm like, oh crap, I don't know that.
Yeah, she's building up a pretty thick notebook.
Yeah. So but I love it. It's very informative. I'm definitely already expanding upon my skills, and I'm still in the like, this is how to use this exact tool and what it does next. Like I'm still in the very beginning, like walk it through. So it's very expansive.
All right. Thanks, Liberty.
Yeah, I definitely recommend practicing as you go along.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, if they just watch the whole course, then they're like, okay, I watched all of it, now what? But if you practice as you go, best way to do it.
Yeah. So
you're learning as you're working through it.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, well, let's jump back into some questions here. So this comes from Joseph.
Any changes to VCarve photos, and is there a way to any new node edit cleaning tools? Plus, can you save for old versions to open? So not too much changes for VCarve photo, and there are no node editing tools, unfortunately, and you cannot save to older versions to open. So unfortunately, no good answers to all those questions, but just is the way it is.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, just let everybody know, repeat questions. We're not handling repeat questions. So Julianne and Liberty are in the background are like pulling the repeat questions out if we've addressed them already.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Terry says, is there any non-monetary reason not to upgrade to version 12? Past projects, etc. Non-monetary reasons. Yeah, so basically, if you have it for free, I would definitely upgrade. But if it is a paid upgrade, then you kind of have to weigh your options if you want those new features. If you don't need the new features, I wouldn't worry about upgrading. But for instance, if you do a lot of VCarve inlays, I would definitely upgrade because this new VCarve inlay toolpath is so much time savings as opposed to the way you used to do it. And then also that new sketch carving toolpath is a really big time saver if you want to use something like that. Check out what it does from other videos, and basically if you see a real need for that in your process, then I would recommend upgrading.
Are they able to download the free version of the upgrade?
Yeah, that's a good point. Go to vectric.com/free-trial, and you can download any version of the software that you want, any Aspire, VCarve, or Cut2D, and you can download it in version 12, take it for a test drive, see if you like it or not. And that's the best way to do it. Take that for a test drive, and that will tell you for sure if you want it or not.
And what's the caveat with the free trial version?
The only thing with the free trial is you cannot cut things that you saved. So, for example, you can create a whole project, but you're not going to be able to cut it on your machine until you do the paid upgrade. You can also not share the file with anybody else if it's saved in the trial version. So you could save the projects once you upgrade to the paid version, then you could cut the projects out. But until you get out of that VCarve or the Vectric trial version, you won't be able to cut those projects out.
Okay, very cool. All right, the next one comes from Rock Hollow Custom Creations and CNC Services.
Any changes to the laser plugin? No, unfortunately, not too much changes to the laser plugin. Just like everything else, it's just a new UI update. But other than that, it pretty much works the same as the older version.
Okay. All right. Next one comes from Brooks Martin.
Keep out zones. Is there some talk that if your post processor returns to home after carve, it might ignore the keep out zones? I would check your toolpath in Vectric. You can see when I showed it earlier, it showed the red line going around that keep out zone. If it shows that when you save it, it should not ignore it, but there's always that possibility. What I would recommend doing is there's a free website called ncviewer.com. Go to that website and you can actually preview your toolpath before you run it on your machine. So it's the letter NC for pneumatic control, viewer.com, and you can upload your G-code file and preview it before you cut it out.
And what
Very
does
nice.
that do? What does that viewer do?
It just previews G-code files. So any G-code file that you have, you just upload it to that website and click start, and it will basically, it's like you're running your machine, but not really cutting on your machine.
Okay, so it's just showing like a router bit moving around and whatnot.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. It'll show the exact path it'll take.
Okay.
All right. Very nice. All right. So next up is Mr. Danny Nichols.
Okay, he says, I set up an inlay. The G-code had the plug and V-cut reversed. Has anyone had this happen, or what could I have done wrong? If I had ran it, the name would have been backwards. It generated the plug. Yes, so it is normal that the plug is mirrored, because the way the V-carve inlay works is the pocket side, which is the female side, will be cut normally, and then the plug side will be mirrored automatically and cut in reverse. That way, when you glue it, the part, when it flips over and glues in, it's going to be the correct way. So yes, it is normal for that to be reversed.
Okay.
So yeah, so but what I'm understanding is kind of identifying a problem. So when he put it on, it was reversed to what it should be when he put it together. If I'm reading.
Let's see. He says the G code had the plug and V cut reversed. I'm not sure if he says the name would have been backwards. Generated the plug. I'm not sure if he's talking about if he's mistaking it for cutting backwards.
Could be.
Maybe he's not knowing it's going to flip over when you glue it in. That's
So
kind of the way I read that. But
okay, so
Yeah,
sheet
that's how I
one,
read
sheet one, the main one you draw on, that's you're going to create two sheets, and the one you draw on would be sheet one. You're going to designate that as the male version, and it's automatically going to create the plug on sheet two.
I can even show a kind of a demo just to show what that would look like if you want.
Sure, that'd be great.
All right, let's share screen. Go back to Spire.
While Kyle's getting his screen up, give us a thumbs up if you appreciate Kate and I bringing Kyle on board for this special session. We have a lot of people on board that we haven't.
All right, here we go. We'll say like and subscribe for our test here.
There you go.
Very nice.
There we go. So we're going to add some text here. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So we're going to add text. Of course, this could be any text you want. And let's say we wanted to set this up as a V-carve inlay. So with the new version, you could create your text, go to V-carve inlay. You're going to set up all your depths. Now, I have done lessons on this in the past. I actually brought this up in case we had a question on it. But my recommended depths is going to be a 0.18 depth here for the inlay, 0.18. Okay. And then what I like to use for my glue gap is 0.08. Hold on, let me see. The cut-up gap, 0.08. The glue gap, 0.02. So glue gap, 0.02. Surface gap would be 0.08. And then you can choose whatever V-bit you like. I find a 60-degree V-bit works pretty good for general purpose stuff, especially for text. So I will use that. I'm going to skip the clearance tool for now. We'll just go with the V-bit since these letters are pretty small. And now we have a plug destination sheet. So right now we only have one sheet. So if I wanted to, I could add a new sheet in. So now I have two sheets. and I can rename the second one as plug. And then sheet 1, I will rename as pocket.
Yeah. So just so you know, just in case, I can't see it when he clicks the drop down. His drop down does not show on my screen. So when when he's clicking up top and it says sheets or layers,
I can show it over here too.
Yeah. What happens is it's opening up a menu and he's making selections in that menu.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know that wasn't showing. So it's over here on the left as well where it says sheets. We have plug and pocket. So you can make those different sizes as well if you want different materials. So here's our pocket area. We're going to select that. We're going to set the plug destination to the plug sheet. And then our outer boundary limit, I'm going to set an offset around this so I don't have to cut all the way to the edge of the material. So let's just say we do a 1/2 inch offset. And if I do an offset, I would probably want to add a clearance tool for that. So we'll add that clearance tool back in. And let's click calculate. And you're going to see it automatically will generate a toolpath for each one of these. It looks like give it a little error there, but let's see. It might have been because the text was smaller. But now we can see this is our pocket. So we're going to preview those. So this will be on your, for instance, your cutting board. It will carve like this. Let's do a material color on that. So that's what your first one would look like. And then if we switch to our second sheet, go to the 2D view, you can see the second sheet is going to automatically mirror the text. And that is so when you flip it over to glue it in, it's going to fit properly. So on this one, go to the 3D view and preview those. This one is going to cut around the shapes and it's going to V-carve around the edges of those. And I have the preview simulation quality turned up. That's why it's taking a little longer to preview. As you can see, there is it's going to cut to the depth you set it, giving you a little bit of extra for the glue gap and the surface gap. And then the V-bit's going to come around and get the angled edge. And let me get rid of that material or that black color so we can see the material color. So that's what it's going to look like for the male plug side. Now what you can do is run a profile toolpath around this. You can cut these all out separately if you want. And then what you're going to do is flip these over and glue them into your other board. So that is why it mirrors those automatically. So they're proper when you flip it over and glue it in.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a neat little toolpath. That's going to save a lot of time.
Yeah. In the past lesson or in the past versions, that would have took me a good 20 minutes to set that up. Now you could do it in a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking. I'm like, boy, in the old version, that would have taken a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, let me clear that one here. Our next one is from Alan Huckabee.
Let's see. Snap 2 is different too. Is it grayed out, on, or off? Yeah. So the snap buttons, they look a little bit different. If they are in color, that means they're on. If they're gray, that means they're off. So that's just the little snap icons in the top right corner of your screen. So yeah, if you want them turned on, make sure they're in the blue color.
All right.
So in the older versions, there was a box that showed up around it that showed that it was on. So now it's gray. It's grayed out or it's blue.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Next one comes again from Brooks Martin.
Is node editing in the 3D view? Yes, you can now node edit in the 3D view as well. So almost everything you could do in the previous 2D views, you can now do in the new 3D view. That's really great because you almost never have to use the 2D view anymore. You can do everything. I did
find I couldn't use the trim tool in the 3D view.
Oh, really? I haven't tried that one. So I'm sure there probably is a few limitations. So you still have the 2D view, of course, for things you can't do, but almost probably maybe 80% of the things you can do, you could do in the 3D view now.
What's cool about that feature is then you can do your design, you can generate your toolpath, you can look at it, and you can fix your design right there. You don't have to bounce away from it.
It's really handy for when you're creating 3D models because before you're switching back and forth between 2D and 3D, or you had them split view. Now you can just stay in that 3D view and adjust your vectors and everything all in one go.
Game changer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So our next question comes from Kenny Norman.
Are all Vectric products now available for Apple machines? No, Vectric has not made software for Apple yet, but you can use different virtual machines on your Apple products to still be able to use Vectric products. But there's a little bit of workaround you have to do for that. But unfortunately, they do not have a proprietary software for the Apple products. So that I don't know if they ever will. I've talked to them about it. They don't seem like they're going to anytime soon, but you never know what they'll do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the answer on that. Our next one comes from Douglas Tap King.
Yes, he says spacing and sizing of fonts is very different. How do you set size and spacing now? Yeah, before it was its own tool that we would use. Now it's all in the one text tool. So now when you draw text, when you move your cursor to the 2D view on the screen, you can now click in between the letters to change the spacing.
You want
So
to
it's
do a
all built in one. Yep, I can
quick demo?
show a demo of that. So let's go back. Okay, so with the text, you're going to be using the draw text tool. And now you have text and text within a box all in one tool. And now, like I said, if you move your cursor onto the screen, you can now click in between the letters to adjust spacing in between them. And there's other shortcuts like Control, Alt, and Shift. Those three buttons will all do something different. And if you hold them all together, they all do different things. So Shift will put them apart. Control will move them in bigger increments. And Alt will do the whole line at once. So you can select multiple of those buttons together to kind of do different things. And you can also change the spacing between the lines as well. So all that is within the Create Text tool. So it is nice because now you don't have to have open tools, multiple tools to do that. You can do it all within this text tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see somebody also asked if you messed up when you did this inlay toolpath, if both were on the same page, if there's a way you could fix that. And yes, you would just select the stuff that you put on the wrong page and right click and click move to sheet. And then you could say new sheet and just make a new sheet.
Okay, so what he did, what happened, that menu didn't show up. So he right clicked the mouse and a menu opened up, and down at the bottom of the menu was the move to sheets.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure why.
You can't tell, but we can tell.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it does the StreamYard. It's a StreamYard.
Yeah, it must be a StreamYard thing. But yep, you could fix that if you needed to.
Okay, very cool. All right. Next comes up from Jay Reeves.
Okay, yeah, he says, is the bootcamp different from the course? I signed up for something by saying bootcamp for 7 days. Yes, the bootcamp is different. So bootcamp is just basically if you want to test out the course and you want to just try it out. That is basically just getting you started with Vectric. It'll show you a lot of the structure of how Vectric works with your machine and getting you started on your first project. And I have that as a 7-day basically trial to that. There's no payment needed. You could just try it out. And then if you like that course, then you can move yourself on to the master course if you wanted to upgrade to that. So it is a little bit different.
So that's for you. If you're not sure about investing in your knowledge, which is the best thing you can ever do, this is Kyle's way of saying, you can take a look and see if you really want to take the time to learn it or what have you. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Julianne, link his course in the comment section again.
All right. Very good. Okay. So let's see. Jack Colgrove.
Okay. He says he read that version 12 has several bugs. Is this true? Yes, of course it's true. Every software that comes out is always never 100% perfect. But I have not ran into one bug that has held me back from making a project. If that helps clear that up any. Yeah, you'll find a few bugs every once in a while, but all you can do is just email Vectric, tell them, hey, there's an issue with this, and they're pretty quick for fixing them. They've already done 5 updates to the new software since it's been released.
Oh, geez, I got to update mine already, huh? Yeah. So just it still does not auto update, correct?
Correct. Yep. It'll
Okay.
just pop up in the corner that says that there's a new update available. And then you can click the release notes in your help menu if you want to see what they've updated. And it'll tell you any bugs they fixed or any changes they made.
Okay. And yeah, the help menu. Okay. All right.
All right. Very good. All right. So next comes from Rob Schuster.
Okay. Do you know of any changes to the rotary features? Not too much has changed with rotary. The biggest change is going to be if you're using Aspire and you're 3D modeling in rotary, you'll have all those new 3D modeling features, which will be helpful. And you can probably also use the keep out zones if you really wanted to in rotary. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. You just have all those new features available to you in rotary as well.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So this was a comment regarding what we had talked about earlier about doing some upgrades.
Okay, I was entitled free upgrade. Oh, about the Vectric upgrade. And he said, but my account listed a price. Support said my license showed as older because I got it through a third party. They fixed it for me. Oh, there you go. So yeah, if you're not sure about it, just reach out to Vectric. Sometimes they will fix it for you.
Yeah. They're very good. Very good.
Any technical issues, it's best to go directly to Vectric. Right? They're the ones that own the software. You know, Kate and Kyle, they both do one-on-one, right? But there's if something doesn't work right on it, it appears to not be working right. Messaging them, you can get opportunity to get it resolved, but the best thing you can do is contact Vectric if it looks technical, like a technical glitch.
Yep.
Or your machine manufacturer if you believe that it's a machine issue, because 9 times out of 10, Kyle and I are both good at what we do, but we don't know everything about every single machine that's out there. So sometimes it's best to contact your manufacturer if you really truly are having issues.
Yep.
All right. So let's see what we've got here from Bubba.
Okay, he says, you've developed really bad tennis elbow and carpal tunnel at my wrist. From all the work I've done using Vectric with the mouse, is there a cheat sheet for those keyboard shortcuts? Yes. Just go to help, and then there's a button right there. It says keyboard shortcuts. It'll show you all the keyboard shortcuts. Also, if you go to my YouTube page, I have a video about how to set up a Stream Deck. It's called the Stream Deck. It's a little pad that you put next to your computer. It has all the buttons on it. I have a free download for all of Vectric's buttons. And you can have all your shortcuts displayed right on a screen there. That way you can just click the button and you won't have to memorize all those shortcuts. So you can do your shortcuts with your left hand while you're using your mouse with your right hand. There's also a way you can set up keyboard shortcuts in your mouse. I have a Logitech MX Master. It's a mouse that has shortcut keys built into it. So I have another video on my YouTube channel that shows you how to set that up if you ever want to put keyboard shortcuts directly in your mouse, and it makes it much quicker to use Vectric software, especially if you're using a lot of keyboard shortcuts.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that because I like using a separate keyboard, and I just never thought about it.
It's definitely handy, especially.
So we've got about 15, 20 minutes left. So I just want to shout out again. Make sure you go to Kyle's YouTube channel, Learner CNC, right? And his community, Vectric Tips and Tricks. I have the community, CNC Entrepreneurs, and Kate has the community, Women Who CNC, right? And subscribe to all YouTube channels. That helps all of us. And we all want to get that 100K YouTube award, right? Yep. And again, every Wednesday, Kate and I do this. This is Tuesday. It's a special session, but every Wednesday we bring in a special guest, and we get a whole bunch of people who are hanging out together. Called the Wednesday Night CNC Hangout. Tomorrow we have Lanny Shaughnessy. So you want to show up, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Well, let's knock out the rest of these questions here. So this comes from Norman Peterson.
Okay, he says, does the Inlay toolpath automatically set the correct offsets? Can it be overridden? Yes, as you've seen in that demo I just recently did, you could change the offset to any number you want. So you could set it to 0. You could set it to 10 inches if you wanted to. So you can override it to different measurements. Whatever you type in there, it will set that offset to. Or you can set it to right to the boundary of the material as well.
All right. Very, very good. Okay, so this is a little friendly one. Nice earrings, Kate. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. So I think there's one last question here.
I'm showing 3.
Well, and I noticed a couple of them. So they were asking basically if there's any changes to the laser module, and Kyle had already asked that had already been asked. He said no, that there weren't any major updates or anything. Kyle, if I'm right.
Yep, that's right. There's not too much. I don't think there's really any changes with the laser module.
Okay, very good.
I could be wrong. If there is, probably something small, but I haven't seen any updates to that. You can also go to Vectric's What's New page, and that will show you too. You can look through that.
Okay, very good. The last question comes from Dion.
If I upgrade from version 11.5 to 12, can I transfer my custom tool database to 12? Yes. Once you download version 12, as soon as you open it up, it's going to ask you if you want to migrate that over. And if you do, just click yes. If you don't, you can migrate it over later at any time. If you go to help, there's a button to migrate your tool database as well.
Fantastic.
All right, so we got Julianne. If there's a couple more questions out there, go ahead and find them, star them up, because we got another 10 minutes. What else would you like to add about the the upgrade? What is your thought on it? We had one question already. Should they upgrade? My thought is, if it's working for you, and just because it's new doesn't mean you have to upgrade to it. Right? It's
right.
Your old software is still going to work. Vectric is still going to support it. Is that correct, Kyle?
Yeah. So eventually we'll not have updates, bug fixes to the older versions, but at this point, most of the bugs should already be worked out of the older versions. But basically, the way I see it is, if you're just doing this as a hobby, you're not making too much money with it, and you're on a tight budget, there's no really reason to upgrade unless you really need those new features. But if you're making a lot of money with it and you like staying up to date with all the new features, and all those new features are going to help you, obviously it'd be a good choice to upgrade. But basically, it all depends on your budget and what you're using it for.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And I do want to remind all those who are brand new to CNC and you're hunting for router bits, IDC Woodcraft has a full-blown starter set for you. You can just go to idcwoodcraft.com and find it there. And I'm only mentioning that because I know what a frustrating journey it was trying to figure out what router bits you needed right in the beginning. All right, got a few more questions there, so let's hit them.
All right.
Okay, what's the model of the MX mouse? Yeah, it's the mine is the MX Master S2. This is the older one. They recently came out with a version 3. So this model is discontinued. They only have whatever's left of them shipping. So I would recommend getting the 3 model. So it's the MX 3S model.
Okay.
That's
like I said, I do have a YouTube video on that as well, how to set it all up.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And how many buttons do you have on that thing?
Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe. 4, but there's also custom ones. You can almost set like probably 20 buttons on this.
Yeah, I see this.
If you really wanted to.
I think this is the one.
Okay.
I'll share my screen real quick. So you can tell me if this is it for those who want to know.
Let's see. Yep, that is it. MX. Okay. Oh wait, that one's the Anywhere. Look up the Master. MX Master. There it is. That one.
What, this one here?
That one. Yep, that's the one there.
Okay. All right. I'll throw a link. I'll grab a link and I'll throw it into the.
All right. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a little pricey, but it's definitely worth it. It's going to save you a lot of time for shortcuts.
Awesome. All right. So our next question comes from Midnight Sun Woodwork.
Can you change the font size of the menus and toolbars? As far as I know, I don't think there's a setting directly in Vectric where you can change it. But if there is not, which I don't believe there is, you can also change your computer display resolution, and that will change the size of everything. So you can look into those settings as well. But I don't know why. I think Vectric should have that option. I don't know why they never added it, but that would be helpful if they did.
Yeah, that would be nice. All right. Okay. I skipped one, but we'll circle back to it.
Are you going to create a session to show how to create designs for epoxy filling? I don't know if you're asking me that, but I actually do have a lesson on that in my weekly training course, my weekly live course. There is a lesson I've done on that.
And John, you may want to reach out to Kate, because she's really good at epoxy.
All right.
That's womenwhocnc@gmail.com, right?
Yep, you got it. All right. So our next one comes from Carol Ann.
Was there a change to the box gadget? I don't believe there was. The box gadget is pretty much the same as it's been in the older versions. It's just now updated to work with version 12, but I'm pretty sure it it's the same way. But however, if you do go to Vectric's form, if you log into their form and go to the user created gadgets, there is a guy on there that creates gadgets that you can use for free, and they have different types of box gadgets you can use on there.
Okay.
Check that
I
out.
understand there are some gadgets that don't work in 12 that were working in 11.
Yeah, if they didn't update them yet, some of them might be not working properly. So check, if you go to gadgets.vectric.com, they have all the updated ones for version 12 on there. And then if they have not been updated, you will have to reach out to Vectric.
Okay. All right.
All right. So we do have a couple more questions before we wrap up. So this is from Ernie.
Okay. Any changes to the tiling portion in desktop? No, that tiling feature is still the same as the older versions. Nothing new with that one, except now you can use keep out zones with it. Actually, no, if you're using desktop, you can't use keep out zones, but if you're using Pro, you can use keep out zones with the tiling feature.
Nice. I like that. All right. Couple more from Dennis.
Did Vectric introduce autosave function? Seems like it would be an easy add-on. I've lost many changes with computer crashes. So I actually recommended this when I was in the beta section to add that. They did not add it, but they did add a feature that I requested as well, which if you notice when you open a new file, there's a little asterisk symbol next to the name of your file. That is one of the things I told them they should add. If they don't add the autosave, at least you can see that little asterisk. And when you see the asterisk, that means your file has not been saved. Once you click save, that asterisk disappears. And if you make a change to your file, the asterisk will reappear. So every time you see that asterisk, that is your little reminder to click save.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Well, all kinds of new stuff.
I know. All right. And our last one from Maxie.
Let's see. Spacebar not bringing back the last command used. Any option to turn that on? Unfortunately, no. I didn't like that they removed that as well. So once again, I think if enough of us complain about it, maybe they'll bring it back. But yeah, the spacebar used to open up your last used Vectric create tool, and now they removed that in the new version. So fortunately, I don't think you can turn that back on, but hopefully they add that back in at some point.
Yeah, it was very nice. I like that too.
Well, there you go. Now you know all the enhancements in the Vectric software, and we got some other training from Kyle as well. Kyle Ely is from Learn Your CNC. He's got that course. I do recommend that you take that course. Links are down below in the description. Get creating, get better with your skill with your CNC router, and have a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. idcwoodcraft.com